So you've probably seen these photos of skeletal kids in Gaza on front pages, all over social media, even in a UNICEF ad. They've become the symbols of famine. But we decided to look into these photos and the stories behind them. And what we found is that in case after case, these kids were sick, but not just with malnutrition. In every instance, they were suffering with other conditions or illnesses like cystic fibrosis, cerebral palsy, and even traumatic head injuries. A few weeks ago, I started to notice that the same kids were appearing over and over again in coverage about Gaza, and they were being photographed by different photographers, which suggests some element of coordination. And then the New York Times had to issue an editor's note about this viral image, and that made me wonder, what else weren't they telling us about these photos? We did something so simple, it's shocking that no other journalist bothered to do it. So this is how we figured this out. Let's just take this example of Najwa Hussein Hajj, who appeared in CNN simply as suffering from severe malnutrition in Gaza City. So all we did is we took her name, we went to Google Translate, we took the Arabic spelling of her name, put that into Google, and pulled up a lot of local clips in which her parents were talking about what was really going on. And what we learned is that she has an esophagus condition, which is something that was even reported in English media, including the New York Times. That is a quite different and more nuanced story than the assumption that Israel wants her dead and they're starving her. The most important thing to realize is that the average Gazan does not look like that. And that is really what we find to be problematic about these images, is that they were being used by mainstream media in general stories about starvation. How is it that these legacy newsrooms lacked scrutiny for information coming out of an active war zone controlled by a terrorist group? Well, we asked them, and to figure out what they said and how they defended themselves, you should check out our story in the Free Press.